they are doing that. They are going ahead with that idea that we came up with 2 years ago.
But we plead ignorance here on the Idiots of F1 podcast, but we don't bullshit.
We don't just start rumours. We
No.
read the headlines and give our opinions. It's very different.
It's almost as if they're trying to manufacture good racing.
Welcome, everyone, to the Idiots of F1 podcast. Welcome back. It's been a long, long wait. If you haven't been here before, we are the Idiots. Myself, Digby, my co-pilot, Evan. We are united by an amateurish... I'll start that again. We are united by an amateurish... This is going to be a tough episode. United by an amateurish and mostly uneducated love for the Formula One. Well, usually 3, but currently 2 everyday fans, armed with a microphone, are on a mission to obnoxiously share their insights and opinions with anyone that will listen. With next to no strategic or technical experience, at least from my end, each episode of this new unofficial F1 podcast will digest the latest Formula One on and off the track news, controversy, characters, and gossip in a bid to help break down the complexities and barriers of one of the world's most entertaining competitions. My co-pilot today is Evan Locke. He's the technical man. He knows the strategies. He knows what the teams are thinking before they know. And whether you're new to the track, a know-it-all who's seen it all and is just bored, or just an in-betweener, join us today for a laugh and some gritty awkwardness and mostly some lightness in a world and a sport that can often take itself far too seriously. Evan Locke, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing better than that introduction was.
I thought it was pretty enthusiastic.
Well, yeah,
to be honest.
you know, you can't teach enthusiasm, is what my ex-wife told me.
You can teach pronunciation, which I need to learn a bit more. All right. Well, today it's been a long time. 3 weeks since the last race. What have you been keeping your F1 brain preoccupied?
It has been clear, actually. I do not keep it preoccupied. There hasn't been much to touch upon. There's been a couple of little things that we'll get to, but...
I'm finding that at the moment, in general, the weeks off at this year, nothing's been going on. I felt like last year, every week, there was some big news, some big controversy, everyone's figured out how to stay out of the...
We should have had China. China
limelight.
was meant to be in this break. It wasn't meant to be a big break. And obviously they don't have China this year, so...
So why don't they have China this year?
It's just because at the time they still had their zero COVID policy, which makes it untenable.
Like Japan had as well for a bit.
Other than that, there's been some F1 journalists earning their paychecks by clickbaiting the world.
Oh, so much clickbaiting. I find them more and more in the F1. We just see so many clickbait articles, like the first one we'll get into in a minute.
Will Buxton says.
So big changes this week in general that we'll give you the lowdown. Let's talk about what we've got coming up for you today. Our first section will be What's Verstappen. We've got a series of topics that we're going to give our enthusiastic opinions about. Some of it's a bit of tabloid rubbish. Some of it is some more serious changes. Other things are just interesting notes we took throughout the week. Number 2, we are going to go through the big changes at this weekend's sprint race. We have the sprint race this weekend. Are you excited about that, Ev?
Sure not.
Sure not. You're not a big sprint guy, are you?
I think that this is almost the worst place to have it.
This or Saudi Arabia, probably.
Yeah, or like Monaco, essentially. Like,
can you imagine?
What's the point? It's like a toddler with Matchbox cars, just like hurling them against the wall. Like it's already a track that's extremely high risk, and that's part of the reason why we love Baku. It's earned its place.
It's a really unique track
in people's hearts. Yeah, architecture's beautiful. The weather's usually great.
Yeah, and you know what? There's interesting stuff about it. You know, there's rarely the same thing happens twice in Baku.
Yeah, but there's always going to be a pretty fiery crash.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's somebody's mistake or if a car breaks down, then it's going to hit the wall. Like, it's all a bit silly. What was it in...
and then we saw Max's tyre exploded a few years ago.
Yeah. I think it was in Melbourne. Yeah, it would have been in Melbourne where we had the gravel traps and
Yeah.
One of the idiots, commented on how refreshing it was to see a gravel trap.
Yeah.
And the fact that nobody hit the wall because you had a little bit of enough runoff in the gravel trap to not hit the wall. It's also, if you're on a shoestring budget and either you don't have a lot of money to start with, or you're bucking up against the cap, the last thing you want is a super high risk, low reward circuit like Baku. Like, you're not going to get pole position because you're diving down the inside, because you're just going to get your tires sheared off.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get hit up the back by Lance Stroll. So
at the very least, well, they're trying to. We'll talk about it in the middle. There's a few changes they've tried to make it so people take a few more risks. Again, very odd decision considering the track we're at. We'll have our little race predictions at the end as well. And that'll be the episode. We're just kind of warming you all up for the big race weekend because no doubt you're a bit cold. You need a bit of a stretch and a bit of a jog around the F1 lap.
This is the foreplay before the real thing.
Foreplay before we hit. We need to get everyone lubed up.
We don't forget about the foreplay here.
No, that's the most important part. All right, on with the show.
Well, idiots of foreplay.
What's Verstappen? Right, let's straight into the bloody propaganda rubbish. Right, reading into rubbish. Out of nowhere, rumors
Taylor Swift
have started circulating about Alonso dating the one and only Taylor Swift. Firstly, you can do better, Alonso. You really can. Secondly, how did this even start? Like,
she's one of the most photographed women on the world.
He can still do better
in the world, and she's also currently on the biggest tour in US history.
And she'll tell you that, and she'll
she's not suddenly in a relationship with a 65-year-old Formula One driver, like with leathered skin and his beard.
It feels like she's just aligned herself. They've aligned them because like you're saying, she is the biggest thing going around, and he's like one of the biggest things in F1. So naturally, they're going to magnetize together. Is that a word? Magnetize together?
Why would you think? Just looking at Taylor Swift, and I'm not going to disparage her. Taylor Swift fans out there, please attack Digby.
Please attack me.
I will say one thing about her. Just looking at her and her sense of taste, from what I've come across through Who Weekly.
Let's just say her tastes don't really align with Alonso. It's an odd choice.
Yes. Yes.
I dived into why this came about. Obviously, he was splitting from his partner, so someone wanted to be the first to get it right. So no doubt, I'm sure a lot of tabloid journalism going around, who's he going to be dating next? And this seems to be the one that stuck. Rumors began on a popular Instagram account. I do not know how to pronounce it. Dumois. One of those sites where they just start shit for attention so that they can claim that they broke the news. If you read their motto, it says, curators of pop culture. Some statements made on this account have not been independently confirmed. This account does not claim information published is based on fact. So essentially, they're just basically writing themselves a license to say whatever they want, and hopefully they'll hit a bullseye on one of those claims.
But we plead ignorance here on the Idiots of F1 podcast, but we don't bullshit.
We don't just start rumors. We read the headlines and give our opinions. It's very different.
Our targets are very litigious. We would not want to be starting bullshit.
Well, the best thing about this...
with Lawrence Stroll.
Who do you think our first news article to go to on this would be? Who do you think's writing it and embellishing?
Will Buxton.
No, news.com, Ev, they're overly reading into everything
Rupert
he
Murdoch's
says now.
granddaughter's favourite website.
Mate, I cannot tell you, it's... that everything he says, they're now aligning with Taylor Swift. And if you don't know Taylor Swift, let's just give you an idea. She has written so many fucking songs that literally anything he says can be said to be referencing one of her songs. She's got millions of them. So, it's not hard to
By the
kind
way,
of
that's
twist his
weird.
words.
It's weird that an artist should be that prolific while also like.
I'm sure she's.
Speaking of,
I'm sure
as
she's
two
a
men
huge
who
racing
write
fan.
their own music. Yeah, but it is strange to me that somebody should be that prolific. If you don't have life experience, like she can't be working that much to tour, perform, photo shoots, music videos, make albums, and then also have the necessary life experience to draw from. Yeah, if you know what I mean.
I just don't think either of them would have time to find time to date each other. Like, it's very rare to see an F1 driver dating someone as busy as a superstar like Taylor Swift. I know Lewis dated Nicole Scherzinger for a while, but that didn't work out because they never had time for each other.
But she's also white trash.
Yeah, that's true. But also, most of these wives and stuff, they're there. They can go to every race. They can travel with them.
They're wags.
I think it's pretty necessary in a relationship to spend a lot of time with each other. And I can't imagine either one of them would have time to spend with the other unless they were like private jetting across the world just to have dinner with each other in Paris or something.
But he's like double her age, isn't he? Like, he's pretty old.
He's about...
She's pretty young.
She's 32, I think, and he's 41 or something. So there's not that big a difference.
He's a nobody in America.
Well, not anymore.
Well, not now, thanks to Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah. Thanks, News.com. Anyway, I think it's a load of rubbish. I cannot for a minute see them dating. All right. Number 2, fortune favours Ferrari. The FIA have decided to allow teams extra power unit elements without penalty in the 2023 season. With immediate effect, each driver is allowed to use 4 rather than 3 examples of the internal combustion engine, turbo, MGU-H, and MGU-K within this season before penalties kick in. Ev, I smell a Ferrari influence in here. Now, would this be something that we saw early in the year? Ferrari has already used up a couple of their power unit elements, which would mean they're almost certainly going to take a penalty at some point, more than once throughout the year. Now, suddenly this rule is being changed. Would this be something that you think would be changed to help them out specifically?
They are the ones benefiting the most, and they do have the greatest political pressure of any team.
You've said that before, that they've got quite an influence.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Which is a bit strange because you kind of get the feeling that Ferrari have stopped caring, like, since Michael left.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been spending enough in developing their cars, and there's been too much politics going on within the teams, and which is still going on even at corporate levels. And and obviously this does benefit them. To be fair, the F1 do adapt their rules when they feel like it's not working.
Yeah, okay.
So they may have reassessed during the break and felt that no teams could do with this right now.
Just sitting around their big boardroom table. You know what would make this year really exciting, guys? If we give out more penalties to make sure people don't overuse their power units. 3 races in, Ferrari's used all their power units. Ooh.
Yeah. But it doesn't really matter because Ferrari aren't challenging.
No.
So what is it like? I don't think this really matters.
And then last year we were complaining that even when penalised, these cars made it back to the front instantly anyway. So it really shouldn't be an issue. Maybe it's because they're struggling and they've used up their power units.
Yeah, it's almost as if they're trying to manufacture good racing as opposed to just having good
and I don't
racing.
Like that. I don't think people like that. I don't mind rules being
really
set.
Good racing.
It's not working out, so let's change the rules as we go. Rugby league has a tendency to do that sometimes, and I think you mess with it a bit too much. Some people like the authenticity of these are the rules and that was the team. Even if it's a dominating year, you can always find things to take interest in. Obviously, that's not the mainstream opinion, but okay. Well, interesting to see. I think Williams might benefit from that a bit as well, but mostly it just felt like a Ferrari. Ferrari's not doing well enough. Here's a rule change. All right.
Ferrari still won't do well.
They won't. So it doesn't matter. A few other changes. The jack touching the car is now considered definitely working on the car. They've made that a specific rule, so there's no confusion there anymore. And cost cap exclusions now exist when considering sustainability. These, so that means the cost cap has been edited a bit. So anything associated with installing sustainable infrastructure, auditing and monitoring of competitors' carbon footprint, donation to charities engaged in the promotion of environmental sustainability projects and carbon offset. So all that is taken out of cost cap measurements. So hopefully it will be encouraging teams to work on a more sustainable future for the F1. Again, it feels like a little bit of difference to make it look like you're making more of an effort than you really are.
Correct.
We'll say it again. Efficient traveling is key. Okay.
Maybe don't go to Azerbaijan and then, is it Miami?
Yeah.
That they're going, yeah.
And
maybe
then
don't do that. And then back, yeah. Maybe don't do that. Maybe that's stupid.
It is stupid. You've had 3 weeks, maybe walk.
It should just be a cannonball run in Formula One cars. Just driving to Miami from Azerbaijan.
Take a ferry.
Yeah. That's there. Do that. That's way more entertaining.
They could just have big parties on the boats.
Just go watch the movie Cannonball Run.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, Ricciardo race seat. Ricciardo's again shown a desire to be back in the racing seat for 2024, but only if specific conditions are met. He insists this isn't from a place of arrogance. A mid-tier seat will just not stimulate him as a driver, as he doesn't have a desire to rebuild his career from scratch. This is a luxury I think few drivers have. Would we say that Drive to Survive is to thank for this? Like, without his, I guess, rock star persona, he wouldn't have the luxury to just sit around and wait and set these kind of rules. Because, without all that fame, Red Bull may not have taken him on.
Christian Horner commented that he's still, even though he's not racing, he's still the most popular driver in the paddock.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably true.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
Once you get to England, I think that, rightfully so, Lewis is number one. And lots of places around the world recognize his dominance and his superiority. Yes. Like places like Japan and Germany and places like that, which don't typically get caught up in the hype of Verstappen, really. Not that he isn't a great driver, of course, but I think that's quite telling, and I think moving forward, it's going to be really interesting when we start to see negative articles come out about Sergio Perez that don't get immediately killed by Red Bull, because they'd rather have Daniel Ricciardo, somebody who's been burnt by Formula One and would probably be happy to be subservient.
Yes.
Whereas Sergio Perez kind of isn't.
Also, he's a dream. He's a PR, publicist dream.
Exactly, yes.
The Daniel Ricciardo gets more attention than some people who are on the grid.
Yeah.
Certainly the most attention from any of the reserve drivers. Generally, the reserve drivers are invisible. We don't hear about them. There'd be the odd chat, he's replacing him for a
FP1 or something.
Yeah, FP1. Hulkenberg got a few races last year due to circumstances, but Daniel said, Oz GP, it was barely Oscar. It was Daniel.
Yeah.
So it would be a dream
did come
for
out.
Red Bull to get him back.
I saw him say something about, I'm ready now.
Yeah.
I'm like, buddy, you've missed 3 races. You're not ready. You were terrible.
To be fair, these 3 races have felt like a fucking eternity. Yeah. It feels like we're almost halfway through the season.
I'm ready for the season to be over. Yeah, I'm ready for it to be over.
It is. I mean, maybe it is over. No, it's not. It's not over, everyone. Ooh. And we're here to keep it entertaining with you. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the news. One extra tidbit of information. I saw John Wick 4 the other night. And there's I swear to God, it's Lawrence Stroll. Lawrence Stroll is a bad guy in John Wick 4. Yeah. It's actually a guy called Clancy Brown, who you might recognize from Highlander, Pet Sematary 2, Starship Troopers, or Shawshank Redemption. He's quite famous, but he's got this big white hair now and he's got
a huge head,
big beard. It kind of looks like if Lawrence Stroll had a couple of weeks off. That's what he'd look like. But he was quite an imposing figure, and it just really reminded me of Lawrence walking around the paddock. So keep an eye out for that. All right, on to the weekend. This week, we are heading to Azerbaijan, and we have our very first sprint race for the year. Formula One has confirmed the changes to all 6 sprint races for 2023, with the first happening this week.
Digby, Digby, what are the changes?
Oh, well, it's funny you should ask because I'm just about to tell you.
Oh, really?
Firstly, though, let's talk about this wondrous decision to have a sprint race at what is possibly the most dangerous track to take over on and to race in general. Mm-hmm. Why on earth would you want to have a sprint here?
I think somebody from Liberty Media thought that this would be a good idea in theory. Precisely because it's the most high risk circuit. Because you can't overtake at Monaco, and the only overtaking that was done in Saudi Arabia was on the back straight.
Yeah.
That this is really the only track that's like high risk and you can overtake at a couple of different places just because they're all 90-degree corners. So I think somebody thought this would be a good idea, but in practice, even if we do have a great race, that doesn't prove me wrong. It would only be a great race despite the fact that
would be lucky.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of the changes have been made to encourage risk taking. But I feel like if you just didn't have it on this track, you wouldn't need to encourage risk taking because it would be easy enough to take the risk. This is a track where it's like you better want to like take. It's almost like the rules were made so they can have a sprint in Azerbaijan. So past sprints have acted like an extended qualifier for Sunday's main event, but this year they basically act as their own standalone mini race, as the outcome will have no bearing on the grid for Sunday. So what used to happen is you do the sprint, and that would be your lineup for Sunday.
So what's it now?
So basically, this is the order of the weekend. On Friday, we have free practice 1.
Yep.
Then we have the qualifier. Now, that qualifier is for the race. It has nothing to do with the sprint. So Friday is about what the grid will look like on Sunday. So that's all decided. Then on Saturday, it's basically a whole different day. You have the shootout, which is the sprint qualifier. Then you have the sprint. Neither of those things have any bearing on what happens on Friday or Sunday.
So what points do you get for the sprint?
Same as you always did. So 8 for first, 7 for second, 6
Really?
Yeah, and so on and so forth.
That's
and the qualifier, the shootout is now like a short qualifier. So Q1 is 12 minutes, Q2 is 10 minutes, and Q3 is 8 minutes. So SQ1, SQ2, SQ3. And there are mandatory, you must have new tyres on each qualifying round. So SQ1, you must have a new set of mediums. 2 new set of mediums, and then SQ3 a new set of softs.
So that's never happened before. We've never had it where they've forced you to take new tyres.
Exactly.
So we've seen this season lots of teams use what they call scrub tyres, which are tyres that have only done 1 or 2 laps, and then they give them a wash, they clean off the dirt, and they're like used, but they're kind of bedded in. And we're seeing that it's taking several laps to get the tyres heated up because they've dropped the blanket temperatures. So to force people to have new tyres which don't have any heat or grip until they're bedded in, and then you have less time in qualifying, we're down from 15 to 12 minutes.
And so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's all, and this is quite confusing. Like you're gonna find people slipping up. Ferrari can't orchestrate a strategy at the best of times, let alone when it's confusing.
Not only that, this is encouraging risk-taking, but I actually think this is just going to result in more crashes. If you're coming out with fresh tyres, the Saturday has no bearing on the rest of the weekend. Do what you like. It's like, come on, take the sprint, go as hard as you want. It's a tricky
so what you
track.
might hope is that Williams might come second or third in the sprint race because the other teams might not be caring
about the sprint.
But
you still have the problem of if you crash on Saturday, it's you've got to repair the car overnight, and then
so presumably Red Bull are going to walk away with this at any rate.
Yeah.
So they don't need to exercise any sort of judgment like that.
No.
And presumably Mercedes will just come second because that's kind of where they're at. And then Ferrari will come third because that's kind of just where they're at. And then the midfield is it's probably going to be Alpine. Like even if somebody takes a risk, they're not jumping up enough where they're going to suddenly
it's not going to change
win
the
or so. Yeah, like
the good thing about the old
can take
system,
a risk and it's still going to come behind Alpine.
It was like an extended form. You got two qualifiers in the weekend. You got the qualifier for the sprint, and then you had an extended qualifier race, and it was quite fun. Now it's like Friday and Sunday is your main thing, and then Saturday is its own, like, I guess, sevens rugby or 2020 cricket or something like that. It's Saturday's just its own thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
it might we might love it. I don't know, but it just seems like a weird system to me.
With Liberty Media being a media company, they need, and Formula One in general kind of does need to activate Friday and Saturday a bit better than what they do, because
I agree.
Watching practice isn't entertaining.
No,
really.
But it's necessary.
I'll have it on in the background if I'm doing something else, just because it's interesting to see if anybody's made a change.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's really not. You're not selling a lot of advertising for that.
No.
And getting fans there to fill it out and make it look like a successful product is harder and harder.
Well, we've said time and time again, get the women's formula racing in there and make that part. So if it's not a shootout and a sprint on Saturday, you've got the women's race on Saturday. That's something that you're tuning for. And they are doing that. They are going ahead with that idea that we came up with 2 years ago.
Yeah. Something I'd love to see in terms of women's sport, if it is a second tier to the men's version of that sport. Say, for example, we have the Women's World Cup of football coming up. I'd love to see if all those teams in the Premier League have a women's team, even if it's not particularly supported or spoken about by the men's side of things. Like, they should have it so that the men's team and the women's team share points.
That would be cool. So it mattered. It does matter.
So if you do it in the Formula One, you'd have a McLaren women's driver, and then her points go towards McLaren.
It's a great idea.
Team, and
it's a great idea.
Don't separate them.
Yeah,
because
combine
then there's nothing to connect the two.
Yeah, and when they eventually do this, because that's what they always do. They hear our ideas and they implement.
So
them.
in 2 years' time, in 2025, when they do this,
that'll be a great idea. We'll love it.
Like a three-legged race where you have one man and one woman, and there'd be. That's
or
what
it's like the mixed relays at the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
That'd be, because
I'm in for that.
It'd be really entertaining because you're making the teams more interesting.
It also forces the teams to put more effort into their women's team, because because let's say you're Williams, but and you're like the most points you're getting, your women's team is like the strongest team of that pack for whatever reason. You're gonna really push that because that's most of your points for the year. And combined with the men, like, that could be the difference. If Ferrari's not putting any effort, I don't know why I picked them, but they just struck me as a team that wouldn't put as much effort into the women's stuff. They lose out on that, so it forces them to want to make more of an effort.
This is a really good idea, by the way.
I think really it's a brilliant idea.
I don't like that we leave the women's sports to their own devices and just say good luck getting an audience. And it's like, so you look at Formula E, for example, they have Mercedes are in there and Porsche are in there and stuff like that, but they've got really weird sponsors that you don't see on the regular car.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to get invested because I know that it's a completely different corporate entity to the Formula One team. And so and it's the same with women. So there's no McLaren women's team. It might be sponsored by McLaren, but it's not actually
the team. It's not the same thing.
And so just to bring an extra car with a small seat, and everybody gets one female driver, and you go at it, and the points matter. You know what?
Get rid of the Saturday shootout and sprint and make it the women's shootout sprint. Do that, and that's way better already. So let's do this for real and TikTok.
You're welcome,
purposes.
Formula One. This is a great idea.
Dear Formula One, we've got a great idea. Incorporate women's and men's F1. I know you're going to put them on the same weekend now after we pleaded, but now Evan has the idea that you combine the teams. All points matter. Team McLaren, Team Williams, whatever it is, they have their women's unit and get rid of the sprint and just make it the Women's Day race.
Yeah.
That's what we want. Put qualifier for the men on the same day. For the sexists who don't want to watch the women, so they've still got something to turn up for. And then you have Friday for practice. Or
if
maybe
the points matter, all of a sudden, that's the jeopardy that we want in sport. Not putting them on such a high-risk track where somebody's going to have a huge crash.
Exactly.
I want, all of a sudden, if Mercedes are probably going to be the ones to spend the most money on a women's team, just because they really care about the visuals of diversity in that. All of a sudden, if they're earning an extra 8 points a weekend over Red Bull, they're going to start closing whatever gap there is. That's going to start evaporating.
Exactly.
Because whoever cares the most about the women's team is going to earn the most points. So imagine Williams is now jumping up ahead of people.
Mm-hmm.
Because Claire Williams comes out of retirement to drive the
car. All right. Well, solving the world's problems there. On to Fast Facts. Vroom, vroom. We head to Azerbaijan this weekend. It's the Baku City Circuit being used since 2016. The first year it was called the European GP as it sits right on the boundary of Eastern Europe and Western Asia and used to be a part of the USSR. I did not know that until today. I looked it up.
And it will be again in 2 years' time.
90%,
we'll cut that out.
97% of its population is Muslim. However, the constitution doesn't, in fact, declare an official religion, and all major political parties are secularist. Secularist. Is that how I say? An official religion, and all major political parties are secularist, meaning decisions are made without religious influence. So we then move on to the race facts. Red Bull technically have had the most wins here, but if you include the European GP, it's 3 apiece to them and Mercedes. Now, Ev, here's a little question for you. Has anyone ever won this race twice?
Well,
spoiler alert.
That's a binary answer. I'm going to say maybe.
No. Yeah. They have not. So we've got Rosberg, Ricciardo, Hamilton, Bottas, Perez, and Verstappen have all won on this track. And in that order. Last year was won by Verstappen with Leclerc on pole and Perez having the fastest lap. I think Leclerc DNF'd last year with smoke just clearing out at the back of his car. So with that in mind, we go to Ollie's odds.
What are they?
Look, I'm thinking this is probably going to be the first year with a repeat winner. Red Bull are clearly very strong on this track. However, the sprint could offer some potential crashes. My first prediction is there's definitely going to be a red flag this year. So write that one down. There's some free money for you. Definitely safety car or red flag. You can definitely bet on that, so you should.
Yeah, you can bet on that, can't you?
Yeah, you can. I think first will be convincingly Verstappen. I think we'll have Perez second and Alonso third. I'm going safe this week. Fastest lap.
George?
Yeah, George. I'll go George, fastest lap. So then that's my definites for the weekend. On to Evans Evens.
I'm going to say Verstappen again. And then the 2 Mercedes. I think that they're going to start being really consistent.
This is what we say. Well, that's what you say most weeks. This is their week. This is Mercedes' week. They're going to get you.
If I keep playing the percentages and it always comes up Mercedes, but then Mercedes always have let me down for the past 3 years.
And will continue to.
Surely their percentages must be closing.
Eventually they'll get there.
Yeah, presumably that's how the percentages work. I think that Mercedes have quietly gotten much better. Their upgrades aren't coming this week. They're coming in Imola, which I think is it's after Miami. Is that the one straight after Miami? Maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
We are seeing McLaren's first upgrades of the season, which should be interesting because they'll
go from 18th to 17th.
Yeah. They've got big, really big upgrades coming later on this year. And this is the first. What else? The only other thing I can say that's kind of a bit inside baseball is the only weakness that the Red Bull has is slow corners.
Yeah.
Because all of its aerodynamics
Based.
pointed towards the rear of the car.
Yeah.
So it's a really light front end. So when you have slow corners, which are 90-degree corners, because you can't drive through that.
No.
You have to go around the apex. And there are so few corners that you can drive through the apex in Azerbaijan, even though they've got a really great top speed with their DRS, which is incredible. You could see them struggle. So, for example, in Melbourne, we saw both cars, obviously, famously Perez going out because he had the world's worst Saturday. But because there's not a lot going on in the front end, they struggle more to generate heat and therefore grip. So if it's a mild day like it was in Melbourne, we even saw Verstappen go off on the last corner, remember? He went onto the grass and he was lucky he was able to save it. That's all because of they slowed down for a virtual safety car, and that's why he lost a lot of temp in the front tires. So anyway, that's going to be curious because Baku's not the warmest country in the world. Azerbaijan, I should say.
Baku's not a country at all, so that's also a true statement.
I'm not wrong. I've yet to be wrong.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all. I imagine Ferrari would just be really crap. Poor Ferrari.
Yeah, I think Red Bull's really going to have fun on that big straight. Yeah. Any time they lose in those corners, they'll make back very quickly on that big straight.
Yeah, probably. But then again, Williams have the lowest drag car, so they've got the highest top speed.
Yeah.
So if anybody's going to use a back straight, it's Williams.
Oh, it's Alex Albon. He's coming around that corner at 10th and he's second at the end.
Yeah. And then and instantly goes to the back of the grid.
Yeah. But he's overshot that first corner, so he's reversing out yet again. Well, I think it'll be a fun weekend. I really like this weekend in Baku. I think it's a beautiful track and a beautiful city, especially that little castle tight space. I really like that area, even though it doesn't make for great racing. It just looks cool, and changes it up a bit.
You'd think it would make for great because it looks like two cars side by side, chicaning up.
Yeah,
it's like no, you can only fit one car.
Yeah. And it's super blind. If there's a crash in there, oh my goodness, what a sprint this is going to turn out to be. Well, that's it for this week. It's a very quick episode this week just because, we haven't had a race. So we thought we'd just warm you all up. Make sure you tweet us, TikTok us, Instagram us, at Idiots of F1. And we will be back next weekend to review the disaster that I'm sure will be this sprint and race. But either way, at least we've got a lot to watch. We've got a lot to enjoy this weekend. We've got a lot to see. And the timing's pretty good for us, in Australia, which is a nice change. So fuck you, UK and America. It's our turn again. I'm sure we'll get plenty of complaints. Oh my God, we have to wake up at 7 a.m. to watch this race. Oh. Yeah,
we get this. Maybe we get Singapore and Japan. Those are usually the good times for us.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
Everywhere else in the Southern Hemisphere is
a nightmare.
50,000 miles away. Yeah, and it's like yesterday time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, with that in mind, we will leave you to it. Enjoy your race, everyone. Until next weekend, Ev. Love you too. I'm going to play the music.
Yeah.
Bye.